Hello, hello. It's just, I don't know. I'm back again, and this time I want to talk about subsequent pregnancy, um, and just kind of my feelings on that. I feel like it's very possible that I could be more in my own boat about these feelings or this thought process. People are probably going to say that I fixate too much or think too much in on things and stuff, and you're probably right, but it's just my own personal feelings and opinions about it. So, you get these apps and stuff, these baby apps. When you get in there, I didn't really notice it before because it was my first pregnancy. But you put in there whether you're first time mom or it's like your secondary pregnancy or subsequent pregnancy, there, whatever the case may be, you put that in there. So, I've been seeing, that online, and I know that it plays a part because I even remember reading a lot with my first pregnancy, and especially now, that your first pregnancy is going to behave differently than your second, in terms of like when you show, how you carry, just like different things because your body has already been through a pregnancy. And I'm here for that. Like, I know that. And my body is, like, I always tell my husband, I always talk about postpartum. He always immediately thinks I'm talking about postpartum depression. But I'm like, no, postpartum body. And I know, like, fourth trimester is fourth trimester. And I don't know when you're technically not considered postpartum anymore. But here's my viewpoint on it is once you've had a baby, you're postpartum. Like, you might not be in postpartum stage or, whatever, but basically, like, your body will have always carried and delivered a baby, and like, I've heard so many women say it, and I don't know medically how any of this is viewed. So this is just my, like, ignorant thought process. So, like, don't come for me, I guess. But, like, for me, like I tell my husband, I'm like, no, I have a postpartum body. Like, your body is different. After you've carried and delivered a child, some women have way more significant things that they notice, and some are way less. Some are virtually none. Everybody's so different, and every pregnancy's so different, and all of that. But to me, I'm like, once you have that, it's kind of like losing your virginity. But like once you've had that baby, you've had that, you're postpartum. That body is a postpartum body now. It's like getting spayed or neutered or something. It's not. But you know what I'm saying? Like, once that's done, it's done, and the effects of it are with you forever. Mostly is how I view it. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to work and do this at the same time. But back to the subsequent pregnancy thing. So, obviously, when I got this new doctor, whenever I went in for my first OB appointment, of course, they had all these questions because they are taking me very seriously, and they wanted to know everything about my experience with my daughter, which was comforting and wonderful, to better know how to handle this subsequent pregnancy. And going back a little farther, so again, with my daughter, I don't know exactly what order I want to put this in, but like, I'll say, like, after I had my daughter and I had these concerns about everything to do with my experience with having her, I started asking questions, both to my doctor, then also to my daughter's doctor, because my daughter's doctor, she's a nurse practitioner, actually. Sorry, I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Does anybody have this with pregnancy? Like, I know I touch my nose a lot, but my nose itches, and then it's like I constantly, like, feel like I'm getting ready to sneeze. So I'm like... constant. I'm so sorry. I try not to do it, especially in public, and then I'm putting this on a public platform and I'm like touching my nose a lot. But I'm in my home and I wash my hands a lot, and I don't know. So anyway, my daughter's pediatrician, um, I don't really know what all her titles are. She's a nurse practitioner, and like I've had like pap smears with her before. She's like women's health, but she's not an OB, so she didn't deliver. But then like right after I had my daughter, she's like, I am in school, like I'm gonna be a midwife. And and now she has graduated, whatever. She's a midwife through the hospital. And I absolutely adore her. I adore her and I wanted to go with her so badly. So I was having those conversations with her. So basically, long story short, I'm not with her because since she's a midwife and I'm a high risk pregnancy, she can't tend to me. Legally, she can't tend to me. And I was very, very disappointed about that because I love her, but I have found my new doctor and I love him. So, but I was talking to her about a bunch of stuff after I had my daughter. And so both her and my doctor, who I feel like mishandled me, my doctor at that time, who I feel like mishandled me. Sorry, I'm like, okay, don't touch your nose. They both were saying, now that this is in your file, it will be addressed. Now that this is in your file, now that this is in your history, it will be taken seriously. And even now, but especially at that time, and I know, like, logistically, I understand it. So I don't want any medical professionals coming for me, but I literally cannot tell you how big of a slap in the face that was, because I was all but begging my doctor for, I know, 4 months to please pay attention to some things that I had going on. And so I was really struggling with having been mishandled, but then I was handled wonderfully in the hospital, and I kind of wish I was going, I do wish I was able to go back to this hospital to deliver this child. But I love my doctor that I have now, and he's 45 minutes away. So there's that. So anyway, but I really struggled with being told that, and I still struggle with not being bitter about that, if that makes sense. Like I do. And so now everything's about subsequent pregnancy. And I think one feeds the other, if I'm being honest. It's my own personal, like, mental wrapping my brain around the treatment and the handling and just how everything was. And then being told what I was told, even if it came from a good place, and, you know, it was hard to hear. And so now everything is about subsequent pregnancies now. And so here's where I'm probably going to expose myself and sound kind of, I'm not sure. But with my first pregnancy, with my daughter, we tried for her for like 9 months. So again, it was not like a last minute thought or whatever. And I am an older mom. I mean, I was 30 when I had my daughter. I'm 32. I will be 33 probably, as long as this baby doesn't come too early, because our birthdays will be close. Our birthdays are close. Mine and my daughter's, and then this baby's are all, they're all within a month. So anyway, I'll probably be 33 when I deliver this baby. And so, you know, where was I going with that? The subsequent pregnancy thing. Oh, with my daughter, I was just really wrapping my head around being pregnant. I was going through the motions. Like, I was pregnant. I was living my life. But I wasn't, like, again, I wasn't documenting things. I wasn't, like, in touch and in the moment and in, like, this. I was thinking about it all the time. I was trying to prepare, but it was different. The mindset was different, and I was trying to wrap my head around all of it. And it was the same. Like, my mom said the first, couple months that I had my daughter, that I was, like, detached from my daughter. And I feel like I was just really trying to wrap my head around being a mom. I was 30, and it's literally what I've always wanted, and I was so grateful for it. But, like, it almost threw me into this weird thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a mom. Like, I am my mom. Where now I don't have that. I am a mom. I love being a mom, and I want it. I want more, I want more kids. We're having this one. And so it's like, I want more kids. And my biggest thing in this pregnancy is I want to be in the moment and in tune, in touch, like go, even though there's a lot of aspects about this pregnancy that are kicking my butt, I want to enjoy this time because it is so short and I'm never going to experience this again, which is why I want to do all this documentation, because this is a moment in my life I'll never get back. I'll never get back. This could potentially be my last pregnancy. And maybe not. I may try for one more. We're going to see how it goes. But to me also, each pregnancy is its own thing. And this is kind of like what I want to get into. Like every time we talk about subsequent pregnancy, and it almost makes it like it's not as big of a deal because it's not your first pregnancy. Like, oh, you're a veteran, you've been through this before. And in some ways that is how I feel. Like I said, like I don't want a baby shower this time, but like I went ahead and made a registry in case anybody wants to know what to get for me. And quite honestly, like I have so much stuff and I don't really need a lot of other things, but what is on the registry is like stuff that I'm a lot more passionate about this time than like the first registry. I was like flying blind. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, where this time I do know more. This time I do know what to expect. I know my body more. I knew my body the first time, and that was what was so frustrating about not getting heard. Is I'm a 30-year-old woman. I know my body. Like maybe this is my first time I've experienced pregnancy in my body, but I also know my body. Like, come on, like listen to me. But kind of knowing what to expect more in that respect, like now I know what a contraction feels like, and I didn't the first time. So there is that aspect of it. And I will say that my team didn't take anything away from it. The doctor and nurses were still like, oh my gosh, congratulations. Like they still had that aspect to them with this pregnancy. So I appreciate that. But just every time I hear subsequent pregnancy and like, oh, like, cause like you've done it before, that kind of a thing, even my doctor now, and he doesn't mean it that kind of way. I always have this like, almost like this gripping feeling in my body. Like, no, but this is the first time. Like this is not the first time, but like I'm handling this one differently. I'm preparing myself more. And then also I've never carried this child before and I'll never carry it again. This is a subsequent pregnancy, but it's a first. Like it is a first. And so I'm not trying to get all radical about it, but it is like a feeling that I have when it gets talked about or discussed. And like I'm not going to say that to the doctor, like don't say subsequent pregnancy, it's like a trigger warning or like something like that. I'm not like that, but I will say that like I have those feelings sometimes because this is its own person, and this is the first and last time I'll ever be in this pregnancy. And everybody always says every pregnancy is different, and it is. So, and again, I don't feel like I'm being mishandled in any way this time, but like that's just a feeling that I have when it's discussed or talked about. And in some ways, like, yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too, because like it is a subsequent pregnancy, which is equipping me better, I think, to be prepared for the unknowns that now I know can really happen and can really happen to me. It's not just stuff you read about online, like it can really happen. And so there is that, but then at the same time, again, like this is its own person. It could be a totally different experience, and there's that. So if anybody ever like has those feelings about subsequent pregnancy, just leave a comment below. And I feel like that's what it is because my whole first pregnancy, like I was just like, oh my gosh, like trying to wrap my head around it, but then also being told this. I think this is what really does it in for me, and I kind of touched on this, was the whole time, you don't know, you're a first time mom. You don't know. You're first time mom. I heard it. Didn't matter. I had questions, concerns, anything. You're a first time mom. So I was stupid because I had never had one before. And that was so incredibly frustrating that sometimes I could not fully enjoy my pregnancy because I was just frustrated. I felt like I wasn't receiving good care. And then now in this one, it almost feels like it's super important and special to me. And I don't expect it to be as important and special to everyone else. but it almost feels like it's discounted because it's not my first pregnancy. And I'm like, yeah, but I was an idiot in my first one. Nobody took anything I said seriously. And like now, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a trade-off thing that I'm like, you can't win. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it feels sometimes. And so I was just curious if anybody ever has those same feelings and thoughts about like subsequent pregnancy. I also feel like, you know, like I've said it, I'm following the Trisha Paytas pregnancy because we are close. My due date is September 19th, which sucks because my daughter's birthday is September 13th. So we'll see when this one comes, if it comes premature or not. But then she said her due date, it's weird because she said her due date is September 25th. She thinks it's going to come earlier. And then, yeah, because at one point her due date was like September, it was earlier. It was like September 13th or something like that. And then it got changed. And so like, I'm just confused of why it was that big of a difference. So it'll be interesting to see when she delivers. So anyway, but like, you know, she's talking about, she's doing all this stuff with her food and stuff. But then she's also talking about resting, relaxing, and yeah, I didn't do that. My first pregnancy with my daughter, I was just so busy trying to maintain a normal life and keep things normal. I don't know. I went into like a really weird mindset. And that's again why I'm like, I just really want to not do that this time. I want to change it. Like, I am a mom. I'm here, like, literally everything stops for this baby, except for my other baby. You know, because that is what my life has become about. Where before I was trying to transition from whatever my life was then to being a mom, but I was like trying to fight it. And I'm like, my life isn't going to change. It's going to change hugely. But then you know, and then trying to find the balance with like your husband and going from 2 to 3, like, I don't know. It was like a whole hard thing. And I don't want to do that this time. So, but I watch her videos and I think I just did not do my first pregnancy right at all. Like, I should have taken, you know, I know other people that have been pregnant and I'm like, I should have taken more naps. I'm not a person who naps, and I didn't nap in my first pregnancy. And now if my baby naps on my days off or whatever, if my baby naps, I can nap. But if my baby don't nap, I can't nap. And so that's what I mean. Like, I was like, man, I did do my first pregnancy with my daughter all wrong. Like, I should have catered to myself a lot more. And I did say, like, in the evenings, like I said, pretty much all that was dedicated to my pregnancy because we spent the whole time keeping my swelling down and trying to maintain my symptoms and, you know, stuff like that. We sat in kiddie pools and like, so we did do things. I don't want to take that away, but I'm like, I didn't rest that much with my daughter. I was trying to prove a point, or I don't know, something, and like I didn't rest that much. And now I'm like, I wish I could, so that I could house this pregnancy better, you know. And like, I was like, man, I did that all wrong. So anyway, that's just my thoughts, my ramblings on it. So if anybody has, I'm having a nail problem if you can't tell. If anybody has the same thoughts or opinions, or even like different ones, again, like, I would love to keep the hate comments down to a minimal. So if you leave a hate comment, I'm going to delete it because it's just, I don't have time for it, if I'm being honest. So, but if you have any experiences like that, or thoughts or opinions or feelings on it like that, I'd love to hear it. Again, this is just part of my journey. This is just where I'm at right now, sharing it really, again, just for myself, for reference for later. So I'm going to hop off here, and then I think I'm going to do one more video today, and that's going to be it for a while, I think, because I don't have anything coming up. I have a root canal. I have a root canal in my pregnancy, so I may do a vlog on that. So anyway, that's all. I'm going to hop off here. Everyone have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.